Welcome to a fresh episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Hey, if you're liking what you hear, please leave us a review. We would really appreciate it. Hey there, thanks for checking out another episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Today, I am very excited to be joined by a very dynamic duo, Dave and Shannon Luce from Luce Air Quality. They are in Jacksonville, Florida, and they do all the things indoor air quality related. So thank you very much for joining me. Can you guys tell us a little bit about your business and your backgrounds in the industry?
Sure. Well, first, thank you for having us. My background is I started in the restoration remediation industry in 2006. I started with helping my best friend stock chemicals on a carpet truck because his dad owned a carpet cleaning business, and kind of went from there. They gave me the opportunity to start doing demolition. And what teenager doesn't want to break stuff, right?
Yep.
So I said, absolutely, more than happy to do that. And then they gave me the opportunity to get certifications and everything. I went through that and I kind of just fell in love with the industry. And I've been doing it ever since. That's kind of my background in the industry here.
Shannon, how'd you get involved?
I had no idea this industry existed. My parents are like the unicorn people that have never had a water damage event in their house. So I really had no idea this was a thing until I met Dave. And so really I used to work in regulatory work. It was totally unrelated to mold and water damage and things of that nature. So once Dave and I met, he obviously talked about work at home and everything. And I started to learn about it. And then I just kind of dove right in whenever he kept talking about wanting to start a business. Because I was like, well, okay, I guess I need to really learn it. So that way I can help him make it successful, And so that started in 2015, where I started to really get more knowledgeable about it and everything. And then from there, it's just kind of taken off.
So what was the inspiration for moving from restoration demo work into air quality specifically? How did you end up in this niche?
Sure. So there's three parts to that question, right? The first part was doing restoration remediation. I understood that there was a major need for indoor air quality assessment professionals that also understand what they're prescribing, because ultimately we write a scope of work that restorers do to restore the building. And if you don't know restoration, that's a problem. The second thing is I kind of saw a lot of older people in the industry, and I saw a lot of older construction people, and I knew that I wanted to do something that wasn't going to be so hard on my body, but allowed me to stay in the industry for a long time, because anybody who knows me knows that this is my biggest passion. I want to be in this as long as I can, and unfortunately I can't put that many miles on my body and stay in the industry. And then the third part was in 2011, I actually went out to do a mold inspection on a home. I was a restorer at the time. And, before we went out to these jobs, we always asked if there was any visible growth, because we're trying to understand, what sort of PPE we should be wearing. The lady assured us, no problem at all, nothing. And I go out to the job site, and I'm there for quite some time looking around, scoping the job, taking measurements. And in this woman's kitchen, from floor to ceiling, it was completely black. So I dealt with a pretty decent exposure there, and it actually got me really sick. I was sick for several months afterwards. I lost 50 pounds in the hospital. It was a really bad ordeal. So ever since then, I kind of had a vendetta against mold.
Oh gosh, that's really. And was that woman living there? Did you say? Maybe I missed that part of the story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was, and she was just fine. And it's insane to me, but yeah.
So that had to have been there for a while. I mean, you don't wake up one morning and your wall that's crazy. Okay. Well, we see all those pictures on Facebook, right? Of the mushrooms and the walls like that. Yeah. You see all the things. So I'm sure you have seen all the things. So you mentioned this a little bit. So where's your primary business through? Are you business to consumer, or are you working with restoration companies and they're bringing you in as a partner? Is it a mix of both? What does that look like?
It's really both. So our goal each month, as right now, is we try to keep it at a 50-50 ratio. So truly half of our jobs come as referrals from contractors. Many times the contractors hire us directly, but sometimes the homeowners will still pay us, and it's just referred by the contractors. And the other 50% comes just from homeowners searching up, I need mold testing on Google, and they find us. So we really try to diversify everything and get business from all angles.
Do you think that the climate in Florida helps feed your business as well? All of the moisture and stuff like that. I feel like other states, there's always IAQ problems, but is the environment some of it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Without a doubt. It almost, it like helps people, I think, be more aware of mold. But it also helps, it contributes to all these misconceptions about mold too, because, you know, it's like, well, I'm in Florida, every house has mold. I'm like, well, like, that's kind of true, but not true at the same time. So it definitely helps our business.
So, okay. So talking about mold, so moving into, so we're 18 months-ish after COVID started. How did that impact your business and air quality and work in general?
Oh my God. Am I
I
allowed
haven't
to
slept in 18 months. I don't know.
I was freaking out when that started because I was 6 months pregnant with twins whenever all the shutdowns started. And Florida was like one of the last states to really shut down. And, you know, you just know it's inevitable. So in March, is when I started, like, I was just crying all the time because I was so emotional from being pregnant. And eventually, so Jacksonville shut down for a whopping 2 weeks. And that was the only time our business really suffered. We were able to stay open and do business as usual, but it was a little scary realistically for a month. We saw a month where business dropped significantly, and we were coincidentally hiring 2 people that month to prepare for me going away for maternity leave.
Okay.
We still went through with hiring them. It was really scary. And I was just like trying to save every dollar I could for months. But ever since probably May 2020, we haven't seen a difference in terms of business. It's almost like in our little bubble, like it hasn't affected anything at all. It's kind of weird.
Have you had anybody interested in you helping when it comes to like a COVID and that kind of like disinfecting or that kind of being aware of what's happening in their air?
Yeah, we've had a couple people reach out, and I'm a firm believer that you should definitely stay in your lane. And I just, I educate them on the fact that that's not our area of expertise.
Yep.
I point them to, other resources in the industry, like the AIHA released a great document about it. So we just link them that and kind of push them in that direction. But yeah, we have had people reach out.
Okay. So, all right, take a minute to talk to the restorers who might be listening to this or watching this, who don't really take air quality into consideration when they're going through a restoration process. I think that can kind of happen a lot. I think it's like, oh, the structure looks good. We know that we maybe removed the mold that's there, but there can be more that's done. So why is the air quality piece so important to the process?
Well, 100% of our job is really to protect the health and safety of the workers and the occupants. When we're being hired by a contractor, we really care a lot about their technician's health. And if you don't know what's there, how are you going to prepare for it? You can do some general efforts to protect yourself, but you're still kind of shooting in the dark there. So that, above all else, it's about the health and safety of who's in that building for an extended period of time. There's so many people technicians that don't think all the way through whenever they're working in there, and there'll be like open cups of soda just sitting there while they're working and demoing, and they're drinking out of it, and there's just so many things that leads to illness. And that's really what it's all about, is preventing people from getting sick and making sure they go home to their families. Nobody works to end up in the hospital. They're working to go home and have a life outside of work. So that's really the most important thing about indoor air quality in the remediation workspace.
And then also, like, not to be redundant, but we're dealing with contaminants that you can't see, right? So you go into a building, it can look just fine. And depending on that moisture source or how long the moisture's been going on, or the way that chemicals are interacting in the space, you could be exposed to contaminants that you cannot prepare for unless you do adequate diagnostics in that building. So to go into a building and do a walkthrough and say, this looks fine, like, we kind of know better than that now. So we need to do better,
Yes. Okay. All right. So I want to get a little personal and figure out how, okay, so you have two small twins. They're about a year, right?
Yes.
And one on the way due in December. So
Yes.
you're running a small business with employees and you've got very teeny children with another one on the way, and it's been a pandemic. So how do you do that? And how do you have a life and how do you stay sane? All of it.
Well, I can't leave out our other kids. We have two other children that, our son is almost 19 and our daughter she just turned 17. So
Right.
We've got a lot going on. You want to take that over?
How do we do it? We do the best we can, right? We roll with the punches. We have a great support staff. Through some of my friends in the industry, they actually had a daughter, and she's 17, 18, and she comes over every day after school and helps with the twins. And we have luckily we were able to hire a nanny, so we have a full-time nanny as well.
It was really hard before we hired the nanny. That was really difficult.
So the way that we do it, I would say, is that we have really, really great support system. And then luckily Shannon's parents live a mile and a half away from us, right around the corner. So they help a ton as well. Yeah,
we've got a lot of help, and but we're family people. I mean, Dave is like the biggest family man that anyone could ever meet. He's all about his kids and me, and so we try to make sure that we keep things in perspective. You know, our business is our life, but it's not the only thing. And so a lot of it is just keeping your priorities together.
Yeah. Yes. I get that. I ran into the same thing at the beginning of the pandemic with my two small children, and then homeschooling, but trying to work and yeah. So it's nice to have support close. I don't know how people who don't have support close do it. That's for sure.
I don't either.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up? Anything IAQ related, anything disaster related? Ida just hit. Anything about the industry?
You want to talk about what we're working on?
What do you mean what we're working on?
The coaching thing.
Oh, well, we are in the process of building a coaching program that we're going to be launching. We're hoping to really get it off the ground and open next month. So for anybody that's looking into opening up an indoor air quality business, becoming IEPs themselves, we will be a good resource to those people. So we are hoping to launch it next month. We're filming and doing some things this weekend to kind of finalize everything together. So that's our next big thing that we're going to be announcing.
Awesome. You two are perfect for that. I'm glad to hear that. I was going to ask what you guys do for education, so I guess that answers that. So I'm glad that that's a thing. Good for you. Okay. So for anybody who's watching or listening, stay tuned. I will try to share updates from you guys as I can on my channels as well. And thank you very much for the chat. I appreciate it.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.